Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Hands Across the Water. We've called this show the Monday Blues. It's back again. Rangers breaking our hearts as always. Unfortunately, doing a few of the Mondays we've done most recently. It was really good at the start. I was saying to Marcus we were having a load of good Mondays in a row with Rangers doing well, but it's back to form again. The last few have been not the greatest for us, unfortunately. But to join me and chat about everything that's happened is our Marcus, obviously as always, and friend of the show and our good guest, Derek. Derek Clark, how are you, buddy? You keeping well?
Oh, good, William. Hi, Marcus. Yep. Apart from watching that yesterday and then just talking off air, I had a bit of a journey heading back down the road. Supposed to head back down on the train yesterday, but of course, the fire at Central Station meant that was kiboshed. Managed to get a train earlier on today, just after 12 from Motherwell. Stopped for about an hour at Lockerbie because somebody was running about the tracks at Preston. Then got moving again, then stopped at Preston for an hour because they never had a train driver. Then jumped on another train, and that's me literally just in the door there. So a 6-hour epic trek. But we're here now to talk about Rangers and what unfolded yesterday, if we must.
Oh, Derek, I can't believe that's a saying that anyone that's listening at the minute. Per Derek has had some time, but we asked Derek about coming on yesterday, and we knew then obviously he was delayed. Of coming back today, then on the train, and then the next minute we got the old. We're off ski. We're off ski.
I know. Could you believe it? Because it was a surprise to everybody on that train. Because the boy on the time, I was with no idea when we were going to get moving here, and all of a sudden the wheels started rolling, and showtime. So all's well that ends well.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, we're glad you're here, mate, and we appreciate you coming on because I say you're literally only through the door, and you've still come on to join us. So we really do appreciate that, mate. So now we'll chat about the old match yesterday. Well, first and foremost, it's as I say, it was really sad to see the mocking of our 66, the disaster at Ibrox. Seeing the pictures are really sad times, Derek. Marcus, let you speak about it as well, buddy. But disgraceful to see that, mate. They say Ibrox was wrecked basically at that Broomloan end. All sorts of equipment's been destroyed, and they say writing all over the walls about the disaster, which I just don't understand anyone having that in their head, Derek. What kind of person you would be to do that?
No, I seen Alan McCoy speaking about it earlier on Talk Sports, saying you need to be sort of sick in the head, and he's quite right, because I don't understand the thought process that you think that is what you're going to do. There was a boy last week, of course, that got 66 on his phone as well, and given that the cameras and all that are at football stadiums these days, I just don't understand why you would do that. And but I think it's what we all feared would happen by a minority there that are just hell-bent on causing trouble. It's going to, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of damage that Rangers have said it's going to cost. It'll be interesting to see who foots that bill. It certainly shouldn't be Rangers. And certainly serious questions have to be asked about the security there. I've seen, obviously, the video of fans busting in past security with fake tickets, no tickets, which I can't quite get my head around, because, I was queuing up to get into the Govan rear, and there's a massive sort of steel turnstile you need to get through. There's no chance you can get through that 2, 3 at a time. So I don't understand what the script was with the Broomloan stand, fans getting in without tickets. So, a lot of questions to be answered. I know there's an investigation going on, but it's vile stuff. The pictures that were posted last night, your heart sinks really, because you're thinking, Jesus, is this what Rangers deserve here? Of course, 7,500 is more fans than have been let in for quite some time. There were a bit of trepidation by Rangers fans at allowing more Celtic supporters in than normal, and unfortunately, the scenes yesterday just highlight that this can't sort of continue. So probably back to at least European allocations, but I don't think we've heard the last of this, that's for sure.
Yeah, to say it was. I couldn't understand that myself, Dirk. I was looking at the videos, as you say, where they pile it in like that, and I was like, when you're getting into any part of the stadium, there's the barriers there, and you get your ticket, and the next one goes through, and the next one goes through, and I'm like, how on earth has that happened, or what's happened there to allow it to happen, And the problem is too, Marcus, isn't it? It's like the police have come out today and basically said that they don't have the the means to sort of police in a way and like that. So the question sort of needs to be asked, if that was the case, then why didn't they at the time sort of say, look, we can't have the 7,500 because we won't be able to police it, it won't be safe. But unfortunately, it's after the fact we're hearing this from the police.
Yeah, first of all, good evening, William, and good evening, Derek. I enjoy listening and watching you every morning in your brief when I'm in the office. So there you go. And I enjoy reading the journalism on my app as well. So it's great. It's nice to have you on. And as always, good evening to all the listeners and viewers. Yeah, my point of view from the moment when the 7,500 was allocated, I guess that something would go wrong right from the word go. I always defend the police absolutely to the hilt, 100% in this country or our country. But I did find it strange that at the time I remember reading that Police Scotland said, look, it's up to the respective clubs and the authorities to come up with the numbers, which they did, and then they would put the policing in place. And it just strange, as you said, William, there, that they've subsequently said that it was difficult to resource. So, something's gone a little bit awry there. But I found the game disappointing and the after events depressing. The trouble with Derek was there seemed to fizzle out pretty quickly. But the vandalism and the graffiti, some of it we don't need to go down. But certainly with regard to Ibrox disaster is just despicable. I can't wrap my head around it. What goes through people's minds? Maybe you shouldn't try and understand, but when you see the images, and they're neutral images, they've not been generated on socials by people either way. It's disgusting. It really is. And as Derek said there, goodness knows how much damage, and it's going to be very interesting who pays for it. Probably the club.
Yeah, it's like the weird thing. Or sorry, Derek, just quickly, I was going to say to you, Derek, on that is what I couldn't understand it as well, mate. You've seen what the damage has been done. You've seen the writing on the walls and stuff, but that takes time to do. It was quite big and quite a lot of it. And I'm sitting going, how has someone been allowed to sit there for ages doing all these drawings on near enough every opening of the stadium?
I know it's bonkers, isn't it? I've been to a number of Rangers trips abroad when you go away in Europe, and there's always a heavy police presence when you're outside the stadium getting kettled in. And when you're sat in your seat or standing up in the away end, there's always more often than not a heavy police presence nearby as well. Maybe that's the answer. But given that I know that Police Scotland gave an interview earlier on, I can't imagine they've got the staff and the resources to police that. But I don't know what the resolution is to this. I very much hope that Rangers fans aren't banned from Parkhead for the league encounter coming up. I think that would give Celtic an unfair advantage, I've got to say, given that they had their fans at Ibrox just last week. So it's up to both clubs to come together and try and find a solution to this. But I don't think the police come out well in it. I was watching it unfold, and you knew it was going to happen. I thought to myself, where are the police? There wasn't nowhere near enough police officers in that Broomlawn road end to stop any potential spillover, and you're asking a lot for the stewards to stop that. So there should have been more police in my eyes. I think if there's more police there at the bottom of the Broomlawn, then the Union Bears don't run on. So there you go for me. Yeah. But I can't expect the Police Scotland to own up and say, okay, it's our fault here. So it'll be interesting to see what the investigation throws up. But and then what happens with allocations. Certainly you should not be getting 7,500 again at this point, given the damage that has been caused to the Broomlawn.
Yeah, I would say that's the end of that. Like I would say they probably would go back to the quarter and just stay there for
exactly.
Maybe if it had went a wee bit better, and I don't mean as the football on the day. Obviously, we wanted it to be better too. But if none of that nonsense had been roten and on the stands and seats being smashed, and if they had sort of done their celebrating and fair enough in the stands like you should be doing, it maybe would have given the argument for both sides to have those sort of numbers again, because I know some people have been looking at, but they mucked it up for themselves, mate, haven't they?
I'm trying to think, William, when was it last time, or has there ever been an occasion where Rangers fans, and you get fans spilling onto the pitch, but running about trying to goad other fans? I was at the Scottish Cup final, of course, 2016, which was one of the worst I've ever seen, when the Hibs fans just ran on and headed over to the Rangers fans. And you're asking a lot of supporters to be restrained and not react. And there's always going to be a minority that react, which we've seen obviously yesterday. But I'm trying to think of a time, perhaps, of course, when they won the Cup Winners' Cup. They were banned the following year, weren't they, for running onto the pitch. But they were just obviously celebrating, and the Spanish authorities and UEFA came down hard on them. But certainly domestically, I can't think of probably the 80s, that 1980 Scottish Cup final, which is infamous, of course, when the police horses were on the pitch after the end of that game, which sparked the alcohol ban. But in recent years, I would wonder if there's any guys in the comments that would be able to tell us when Rangers fans have just ran on the park and tried to goad another set of supporters. I can't recall any time in my lifetime anyway.
No, same here. I mean, I can't. It's like, I don't know if you can, Marcus, with any. Definitely in my time, I can't think of any time that's happened.
No, I can't. I'm just saying that. No, I mean, Derek covers a lot of football in England. I defy anybody, if you had away supporters at an away ground and they came onto the field, there's only going to be one outcome, and it's going to cause problems.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to now talk about the football, unfortunately, but it has to be done. Derek, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on everything Rangers at the minute. Mate, as I say, I know you do a great show every single morning, which I enjoy watching myself every morning. I love watching the Rangers review. But what's your thoughts on the sort of Rangers and the mentality issue? There's a question there about mentality issue, and every time it gets asked, Danny Rule he doesn't seem to like it too much. He shirks that away and doesn't think there is one. Do you think there is some sort of mentality block with the players, or is it just bad luck, or what do you think it is with Rangers at the minute, mate?
It's a good question. They certainly lack quality in the final third. I thought defensively yesterday Rangers were sound, although Celtic up front were non-existent pretty much. But I thought Giga, bringing him back was the right call. I thought he and Fernandes were solid at the back. I thought Sterling was brilliant as well until he had to come off. And but this question of mentality, Rangers had to win that game yesterday. That was let's be honest, a fringe Celtic team. They were missing a number of key players. And as I touched on there, they were dominated by Rangers, but Rangers limp in attack, unfortunately. It didn't look like scoring. And when it goes to penalties, it is a bit of a lottery. I was sort of thinking to myself, well, we've got Jack Butland, and you don't get rebounds in penalty shootouts. And given his record, you're thinking, okay, we've got a chance here, given it's in the Rangers' end as well. It doesn't help when Tav blazes one over to kick us off. So for me, there is a mentality issue in there because that Rangers team, you really thought should have been good enough to beat what is an abject Celtic side. But we've got to be honest about it. Martin O'Neill's came in there and has given this side a bit of belief, and you wouldn't bet against them winning a double at the end of the season. It was probably one of the worst Celtic teams I have seen for many a year, probably since the 90s. But what does that make Rangers if you cannot beat a side like this? They have a mentality, a winner's mentality, a never say die attitude, whereas Rangers don't, unfortunately. Until they start winning things, then I think it's fair for the supporters to question the bottle and whether they have the desire to win matches. Now, I know Danny Rose came out after the game and said they've got 9 cup finals. The fans don't want to hear that at this point. I get he has to come out and say things in the presser, but I can't see this Rangers team winning 9 games. I don't know what you boys think about that, but you just left that stadium yesterday just feeling really deflated, because for me that was Rangers' best chance of winning a trophy. When the teams were announced earlier before kick-off, you're thinking, okay, no McGregor, no Tierney in there, 2 big players for them, and yet they still couldn't get over the line. So if you can't beat Celtic when they're at that point, then when can you beat them?
Well, this is it. As Derek says there, Marcus, like it's the worst Celtic team I've ever seen. Honestly, it really, like in my lifetime, 100%. There's no doubt about it. And not only that, it was a Celtic team that's already poor, but also didn't have the likes of their main defender, Carter Vickers. They didn't have the experience of Tierney at left back. They didn't have McGregor, who's played about 47 of these fixtures. You know, all that experience wasn't there. Jota, who's one of their better players, obviously he's an injured, but you know, so you're talking maybe 5 to 6 players that would be in their team all day, every day. weren't available for selection, and Rangers still couldn't get the job done, Marcus.
Yeah, I mean, I echo what Derek says. It's a missed opportunity. My daytime job is in coach development, and I do quite a lot of work with professional coaches across many sports. And I unashamedly are reading this off a index card. I did a little bit of work recently. So I agree with the mentality. I think we need to determine what does mentality mean. And so I've come up, so mental toughness and resilience, ability to handle adversity, mistakes, and pressure without losing composure. Well, I think we do. I don't think we're good at that. Focus and concentration, stay in the present, don't be distracted. I think we get distracted under pressure. Probably the biggest one for me, confidence, deep-rooted belief in own and the team's skill and preparation. I don't think the players have confidence. I think individually, you can have a look at Fernandez, very confident, Chamiti, very confident, trying to do back heels, stuff like that. But I think within the team and with certain individuals who are perceived as being experienced, they're just not having the confidence and probably managing emotions, accepting excitement, anger and disappointment. I think that there is a bit of a wavering effect in that as well. So I've been guilty of just coming out with mentality, but I'm trying to look into it and think what it means. And I think that allied to the fact Derek alluded to them, and we have as well, William and Baz as well. I think with that, there is a distinct lack of quality in certain areas as well, particularly up front. We're creating a lot more chances now, but I think that the lack of quality in certain areas linked with the mentality we've just spoken about means that we're just continually falling down.
But see, and I know we're talking about quality as well, and you're right there, guys, 100%. But it shows you that. But the Rangers team have showed us at times they can do it, and it seems to be when the pressure's off, or the underdog, or whatever the case may be, they'll turn up because they haven't got that pressure on them. But when they're expected to go out and be the team on the ascendancy, and especially with all this talk was, we could end Celtic season with these 2 games at Ibrox, and it looks like it's just been a role reverse, and it's obviously our own that's been ended. We couldn't have been given much more. They're in total disarray. They're guys, total disarray in that club. They're wanting to self-implode. You can see that fans banned from there and from their own stadium, and also a lot of the fans don't want the current board that's there. Martin O'Neill is a retired manager, but we know, and as I say, as a countryman, he's from Northern Ireland, so we know, especially over here, what he is. He's got the credentials to do it. He's come in and he's done a great job, and he's steadied them, which I think every Rangers fan, for being honest and taking our blue specs off, we know he's a good manager, and we know he probably would stable them. And he's done that, but he's come up against Danny Rule now 3 times, Derek, and unfortunately he's come out the winner on 2 occasions, both in the cups, and obviously then when they were 2-0 down, we should have had them easily beaten. In that first half, they were the better team in the second half and totally dominated the game. So the Rangers seem to be our own downfall, Derek. And the problem for Danny Rule is, I know he doesn't like the questions about mentality, but the fact is he's going to keep getting these questions until Rangers start producing on the pitch.
Exactly. And Celtic, you're looking at it before. The 4 away trips they had in the space of 10 days or whatever. They're away to Stuttgart, and then Rangers away, Aberdeen away, and then Rangers away again. You're thinking to yourself, well, that'll be make or break for them. That is a real tough task for the squad of theirs. But you've got to be honest, they've come through with flying colours, beat Stuttgart away, albeit they went out in aggregate, came back from the dead against Rangers, got a point, beat Aberdeen with a bit of a contentious goal, but they won the game, and then beating Rangers yesterday. So, you can't deny that Martin O'Neill's doing a great job with them at this point in time. Rangers, on the other hand, and Danny Rule, I knew that questions would start to be asked more of Danny Rule if he failed to win that game yesterday. It was huge for him, and the longer it continues, then I can see more grumblings happening. My concern is the season just peters out. If Rangers fail to beat St Mirren on Sunday, I think the discontent is just going to grow and grow. You know what it's like. Now, I'm of the belief that I think Danny Rule deserves. I would like to see a Rangers manager given time to try and build something, and given a pre-season and try and build a squad. I think Rangers will be a much stronger squad next season. But fans can't. This is Rangers Football Club. They want results immediately. So it's all well and good saying, "Don't worry, lads, we'll have a better squad next season." But they're still in in the mix this season, albeit it would be unlikely for me if Rangers were to go on and win the title from this point. But I just worry that there's not enough leaders in that dressing room to pick themselves up, go to Paisley on Sunday, pick up 3 points, and then go on a run of, for me, it would have to be a minimum. Well, they have to win every single game if they've to stand a chance of winning this title, and I just don't see it happening. But yeah, that is a worry of mine. I just don't think there's enough guys, enough experience in that dressing room as well. I mean, we've seen it last weekend, of course, at Ibrox when you're 2-0 up, Tierney scores a goal. You needed someone in that team just to go, here, lads, just settle us down here. Let's get going again. It was just one-way traffic from then on. And everyone I know that I've spoken to felt that an equaliser was just nearing. And of course, they got it in the end. So, yeah, that is a worry for me, that there's not enough calm heads in that dressing room. When the going gets tough, they often feel sorry for themselves. And as Marcus said there, in terms of mentality, when an adverse incident, a goal maybe goes against them, they've got a tendency to feel sorry for themselves and not sort of dust themselves down and go again. So for me, that is lacking in this Rangers team. That's why I don't think there'll be title winners come the end of the season. I would love to be proven wrong, but I just don't see it.
I'll tell you what I'll tell you what I do see. I see us getting ourselves right back in again and then capitulating as soon as we do.
Yeah. The Rangers way,
you know what I mean? Because now everyone's like, you're not going to win anything, you're useless. I know we'll fire out 4 in a row here, and then we'll play Dundee somewhere, or maybe even at Ibrox, and lose.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's getting tiresome and boring a wee bit, Marcus, though, isn't it? You know, that we're doing this constantly. But that is the truth. You know, will Rangers get themselves back in this and maybe even have us all convinced that they're going to do something? Probably. Just to break our hearts as usual. But that's again the mentality for me, is when the pressure's off, they can get results and they can do it. But when the pressure is on, that's when Rangers start to fall apart, Marcus.
Yeah, I mean, there's the 4 games left before the split, and I think the true tests are going to be the away games, St Mirren's and Falkirk. That is really going to test. I'm confident with the home games. That's really going to test the resilience, whether we've got an outside chance or, as Derek alluded to, it just peters out. That's what concerns me. I think we're a pretty difficult team to lose. I think we're going to look at a graphic soon, but then we're also not winning that many games recently. If we look at the last 5 games, we tend to draw, and we can't do that. We've just got to win. So there's the mentality thing, but I just think the squad's pretty limited at the moment, that I don't think we're able to be able to win enough games. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we pull it out, but I think it's going to be really difficult. I think what is important is that we finish strongly, and then we can hit the ground running. And if we don't win the league, which is unlikely, that we can have a positive step into next season and not let the whole season peter out.
Baz here from the show, I say he's not on today, but he's writing in the comments. Is it time for Barami to start ahead of Olsen? Now, watching you in the Rangers review, Derek, you've been one of the ones, mate, and rightly so, in my opinion, to be calling out Olsen at times, you know, and just sort of going, like, is he doing enough to get these starts? And I know the argument will be he needs game time as well, you know, to try and get up to speed. But he's been there quite a while now. Derek, you know, a couple of months, mate, you know, and it's getting to the season. Like, this is the winner bust for us in the season now. You know, all these games are important, and he's just not offering enough, mate. You know, for me, and you look at Liam Scales. Liam Scales isn't that great of a player anyway. Quite slow. Was playing out in an unnatural position against Olsen. Plus, he had the yellow card, and I'm sitting going, "Would you take him on? Take him on? You know, you could maybe get him, you know, Bambi on ice sort of situation, maybe get yourself a foul and get the red card," but he just didn't want to do it.
No, he didn't, and very disappointing yesterday. I mean, I thought Dujon Sterling was doing his job for him at points when he was bombing up the right flank. He's almost playing, I said it in the show this morning, that at testimonial speed, 2-1 pace, well, no pace, rarely, if ever, takes his man on. He's obviously devoid of confidence. You can possibly see why Wolfsburg are keen to offload him. I would not be paying the money. Let's be honest, it's a substantial amount that Rangers would have to fork out for him in the summer if he doesn't buck up his ideas. I wouldn't have started him, incidentally, yesterday, and I said this during the week. I know he set up the goal for Chermiti last week, but that aside, he's not in the races for me. I want my wingers to take on a fullback, especially skills when he's on a yellow as well. Try and expose him, take him on, try and hit the byline. But he's always wanting to maybe cut inside, play the ball back the way, and he slows the play down, doesn't he? So I think it's a good shout. Barami, I thought, did reasonably well when he came on. The thing with Barami is he's got a good football brain. He's an intelligent footballer. I don't think he's the answer. Certainly not out on the right-hand side. But he is a better option than Scott Olsen. I did make the mention in the show as well this morning about Finlay Curtis. I think that's going to bite Rangers in the backside. I would have rather have had Finlay Curtis coming off the bench than a Jedi Gassama. And even with a Scott Olsen, I think I would have rather have started Finlay Curtis and have Scott Olsen start the game. As Mark says there, Tierney was better. He was better. So, yeah, disappointing. I think the expectation levels when he signed were through the roof because we'd seen clips and snippets of him in action for Club Brugge, which got him his big money move to Wolfsburg. But he's just not kicked on there. And there's a reason why he's been loaned out to Rangers. And I think we're starting to see why, unfortunately. That is a key position that Rangers have, you felt last season addressed it, albeit it was just a loan signing in Václav Černý. But I think that's going to be a position in the summer they're going to have to get someone of real quality in that can take on a man and whip a ball into the box because Rangers don't have anyone that's capable of doing that at the moment, unfortunately.
No, they don't indeed, mate. What's your thoughts then, Marcus, on Olsen? As I say, and then sometimes I worry because we'll go 8 million, which is massive for us, and it is massive. But teams like Watford and the Championship or whoever, they can. I'm not saying they do it all the time, but I'm saying there's times there's even English Championship clubs, etc., can sort of put that sort of money out for players. And I know for us, we're expecting them to be really real quality, especially if I'm playing for, I suppose, so many games for Denmark and stuff. So you really are thinking there must be something about this guy, But unfortunately, so far it just hasn't worked out for us.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 40 caps. You were there, Derek. I think the thing that epitomised me, do you remember the corner that was taken? It was just in it. I just couldn't believe it. Along the ground. It was just, and it seemed to me, it just seemed to me. And again, going on to that point, that it's interesting because he should have taken Scales on, and then I think also a deeper issue is that because he's not thinking, as nobody else fathomed it and said to him to do it, and again that's where the lack of leadership can come in. Derek, we did an analysis of the squad in early February. Do you remember that, William? And we went through it, didn't we? And I put in brackets the players that were on loan, like Magoma, Aarons, etc. And I believe I put in a double brackets for Olsen because, well, we're bound to buy him, even though it's an obligation to buy. But now it's unbelievable how much that has difference, and he's sort of paled into just the other players. I mean, he has had one or two snapshots, crosses for 2 Chimiti goals, but I think it's fair to say out of the 4 signings, he's probably been the one with the biggest reputation, and it's just been really disappointing. And Bajrami I think he has played well, and it's astonishing really that he wasn't in the Europa League squad. So he's actually resurrected himself pretty well, I think.
The thing is, I mean, Černý, remember he had a poor start. He missed that chance against Lyon in Pelters, but he sort of he got into a bit of form and he was a good player for Rangers. So there is that. You're just waiting for him to just fire and start delivering, aren't you? But the games are trickling down. He was brought in for games like yesterday. That's why it was such a bitter disappointment that he wasn't able to produce the goods, really.
Yeah, and the problem is too, though, anytime the Celtic wingers seem to always dominate these games in the main, I know Maid, obviously, he's switched about because they don't want him manning up with Sterling, because Sterling always has his card marked. But, they seem to get in wingers, Derek, all the time that can hurt Rangers and other teams in the league. That a winger that suits Scottish football and the Scottish style, and I just cannot fathom Rangers being the club that we are, the size we are, that we're still waiting and still trying to get this right winger on a permanent basis that will do a job more often than not.
I know, I don't get it. That's what I was saying. I mean, I was thinking yesterday. I mean, Sterling was taking on Scales. I was thinking, what happens? What do we do at half time here? Do we bring on Tav? Maybe stick him right back and stick Sterling right wing or something? Because Scott Olsen, it just wasn't happening. Obviously, he brings on Gassama, and the Gassama experiment at right wing. We've been calling for it to stop games ago. I don't know why he perseveres with it, because it just is not working whatsoever. He had a really bad game yesterday. Oliver Antman, of course, he's been out for quite some time. I don't think he's the answer. I think he looks better on the left. So, yeah, there's a void there to be filled. We all thought Skov Olsen would be the answer, but he's just not hit the heights so far. So, tell you what, that's a decision for Daniel to make this coming Sunday. I wouldn't be starting Skov Olsen. Who do you start over there? Do you maybe put Mikey Moore over there? I've got no idea what he does, but yeah, he doesn't deserve a starting spot for me, given his current performances.
Yeah, that'll be, and the problem is, Marcus, just as Derek said there, if it's not going to be Olsen starting there, it probably will be Gassama, which we know doesn't work. Yeah. It just does not work. It never has worked. As I said last week, before the show, or pre-match show, before the Wolverhampton game, I was like, please do not put Gassama at any point on the right-hand side in this game. I don't want to see it. I've seen it enough. Nobody wants to see it. And then we had to see a bit more of it. Unfortunately, when we know it doesn't work, Marcus, it's like playing with a player down, which is, he's just not comfortable in that position.
Yeah, I mean, not all his goals have been from the left, and his interventions on the right is so limited. I remember Antman, when he was actually fit, actually was pretty good on the right. I think he came in almost as an auxiliary right back. I think it was one of the league games, albeit against modest opposition. But he was really good on the right, took people on, showed some good crosses. But we are patently quite weak in that area, and it definitely needs addressing. As Derek says, hopefully, with the 9 games, we're waiting and waiting and waiting. It needs to happen, but maybe he can turn it around. But it's not looking great at the moment.
Yep, and I also agree with Derek there, Marcus, about getting the young fella in. You know what I mean? We've let young players go out and loan, for me, who could offer more in certain positions. Like especially in the right wing situation, and it's. We've loaded out a young talent there who's a Rangers man, who understands it, gets what it means to play for this club. And there's no doubt in my mind, if Curtis is playing in that game, you're hearing his name quite often. You're seeing him doing something exciting, maybe getting a shot off here. I guarantee if he's on that pitch, he's on the pitch. Whether when Wilson's been on the pitch, you can very easily forget that he's even there.
Yep. What was the game before he left? He got a really good assist across into somebody, and he scored before he left. And I know he was on the post-match interview, and he was speaking about potentially leaving. But I was just thinking to myself, you need to keep hold of this boy, because he's obviously had a chat with Daniel, and he's had a word in his ear, and he was picking up a bit of form. He was getting more minutes as well. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is much better. But I think it was a move that benefited probably the player, because he'll get more game time in Kilmarnock, but it doesn't necessarily benefit Rangers, because that is a player that you would like to have been bringing on off the bench yesterday, certainly more so than Gassama, that's for sure, who done very little and then blazed obviously his penalty over the crossbar, and he's very hit and miss. I said something on the show this morning that is he any better at this point than Rabbi Matondo, who we've not really seen any point. I think he's produced some moments at a real quality, Gassama, and you think, oh, this boy, there's a player in here. But more often than not, his decision making is poor, his game awareness is poor, he's taking too many touches, he's trying to beat a guy more than once and then ending up losing the ball. And I just think Rangers don't need a guy like that. That's the last thing you need, certainly in games like yesterday, when you're needing everybody to be on top form. You can't have guys having performances like that. So yeah, it's a real conundrum with Gassama. Perhaps with hindsight, looking back at that bid that was made in January, should Rangers have accepted it? I wonder if they'll get offered big money in the summer, given his displays recently. I'm not too sure they will, but he's another one that has to pull his socks up and start delivering more than what he's doing at the moment.
Yeah, no,
was it Europa game? Yes, somebody's met. Sorry, butting in there wrong. I think it was a Europe. Was it Ludogorets or something like that? I think he came on and done something. But yeah, sorry, on you go.
No, I think Panathinaikos as well. If you look at that goal that he got,
exactly.
Derek was and then he's bombed out of the team. And then you're going, who else on our team can take a ball from that part of the field and go and score an absolute cracking goal? I'm like, that's what Rangers have been crying out for years. A player like that, and we see him doing something like, isn't he doing well? Right, okay, now we'll put him on we'll have to hide him now. You know what I mean? It's too early to start him. And we've seen the likes of Wayne Rooney. I'm not saying he's that stuff, but I mean, there's players there, young players in England especially, if they're good enough to just let them play. However, in Scotland, it always seems to be, they're too young. They're 19. He's still a young player. Even in Scotland, it seems to be we're talking sometimes young players, even when they're 20, 21, we're saying how young. And we're going, that's your peak. You've got your 20s, you've got a good 10 years to your 20s to your 30s. Some players can continue on after that, but some don't. Some just lose the legs a bit early. But and I'm saying just let them play. If you're seeing them do it and they've got the talent, if you can score a goal like that against Panathinaikos and a high pressure game like that at Ibrox, then you can score them against Dundee and all the rest. You know what I mean? And we just don't seem to give them Marcus the chance.
No, I mean, we spoke before he left. I've kept an eye on him and managed to watch him. He's played right back on a couple of occasions for Kilmarnock and played really, really well. And I think there's a versatility when you're playing. When I say out of position, they wouldn't pick him there. Neil McCann and Billy Dodds wouldn't pick him there unless they felt he had the acumen to do it. But I think what he's shown is he's a really versatile player. It doesn't help us now, but I'd like to think that next summer, with his experience there, then we will have a better player. And I don't know if the same would apply for Lyle Cameron. He seems to be playing quite regularly as well for Aberdeen, and from what I've seen, has actually played quite well in a very, very poor team. So maybe those two guys, they didn't get the dreaded option to buy. They were put out on loan. So maybe there is a lifeline for Lyle Cameron. I'm sure that Curtis will come back, but maybe those guys, if they prove themselves a fresh broom for next summer, maybe there is an opportunity for them.
Yes, I see a lot of people in the comments there giving Mikey Moore a lot of credit. A young guy. When he's 18, he's getting his chance. You know what I mean, and that's why we're like, well, why isn't our young players, you know what I mean, in there with him that are actually part of the club? And I don't mean just giving anyone. You know what I mean? Not just saying play the kids. You know what I mean? Throw everything out. But when you've got good young talent like that, Dirk, and you're seeing them playing well, and that's the kind of ones that if you're not going to get a chance with that sort of level of ability, when are you getting the chance?
Yeah, what I brought this up before the game yesterday as well. There's no Scots in that starting 11. There's only 2 Scots in the squad. Liam Kelly, of course, the sub goalie, and then John Souttar. For me, there needs to be more. I would like to see more Scottish boys in that team. Consistent performers. I know Connor Barron's injured at the moment, but I think all good, successful Rangers teams, you look over the years, they've always had a nucleus of Scottish players in there. So I don't know exactly who that would be that could come in and do the business. Certainly a player last summer that Rangers should have got was a no-brainer, was Lauren Shankland. But they decided to look elsewhere. But guys like that, I think, would boost the squad. And I was talking earlier, obviously, about leadership and having experienced heads in there. Certainly a good few more Scottish boys in the dressing room would help, in my opinion, anyway. But just on Curtis, hopefully he can do Rangers a turn of this coming Saturday. I know Kilmarnock play Hearts, so hopefully he can do the business this Saturday.
Yeah. And it seems to be as well, we're talking about Scottish players and players. There's a snobbery, I think, sometimes, for even the fans, sometimes with Scottish players. And I'm sitting looking to myself going, because people be like, but who's good in the league? And I'm thinking there's plenty of Scottish talent in that Motherwell team, and they're the best footballing side in the league by a mile. So it just proves if you get the right coach, and training them the right way and implementing different styles, then there is players in this league that are there and can be good. And that Motherwell team is a very good side, and I think they're a great example of what you can do with Scottish players, But as you say, Derek, for some reason it's been something that gets him. The first thing my dad said, there's no Scotsman on the team. There's no Scotsman. That's at the very start of the game. And I didn't even think of that. And and it shouldn't be happening. There should be Scots players there.
Not just Scottish boys. I want Bears in that dressing room as well. Rangers fans. I think that would help matters as well. Guys in there that know what it means to play for a club like Rangers. Because you look back over the years, like I said earlier, you've been blessed with so many guys, Rangers fans in there that have driven Rangers to trophy after trophy. So I think that is certainly something that's lacking. I know when Niels Coppin was at the club. He did make it one of the sort of key components is that they targeted some of the best Scottish talent every window, and they brought in some of the best players from Scotland. I know that he wanted to bring in, of course, Josh Mulligan last season in a pre-contract, but when he left, that was sort of kicked into touch. Lyle Cameron was someone that he brought in. I think Lyle's been unfortunate that if because Philip Clement was still there, I think he might have flourished in that Rangers team. But Russell Martin, of course, comes in, doesn't fancy him. Kevin Thelwell, I think, if he was in the door before that pre-contract was signed, I don't think he moves to Rangers in the first place. But there certainly is some gems close to home. Look at the Hearts team as well. You're not there's some players in that Shankland, but there's other players in there that I think could do a turn for Rangers. Squad players, decent squad players that would do a job in the Scottish Premiership. But do I think they'll add some Scottish boys in the summer? I'm not entirely sure, but I think it would be something I and many others would like to see, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I agree with you on that, definitely. It's something that needs to be looked at. Marcus, I'll ask you and Derek as well about likes of Nico Raskin. You know, he's one of our players that we look to now. Would be one of your leaders. He's been there for quite some time. Hasn't been playing the best recently, Marcus. It's been quite a while since we've seen a really good performance from Nico. Is it the likes of him? Maybe, you know, do you go with Chermiti and Diamandi and let them two sort of play as a two for a while, or what do you think? Do you think you just keep him in the team? But would they definitely need to see more from my point of view, I think.
I was trying to back up my statement about leaders and looking through the starting team. And you look at Raskin, and he would be perceived as being one of the leaders because he was player of the year last year. I think he should have been a prospective Rangers captain, Belgium international. But I don't think he's been playing particularly well at all. That happens periodically, but it just seems to have really regressed and really disappointing. I mean, there was a confusion about his contract. I think, well, that's great because he's actually going to be here for an extended time. But I just think if you actually look at his impact, then he's very, very limited. And I think there's always a danger when you're picking a player for what they might do as opposed to what they're going to do every week. And I think that's what Nico Raskin has fallen in. It's almost like being picked for what he might do. He's clearly a very, very talented player, but there's no question that he's not firing all cylinders. And you'd think with some of the new signings being brought in January that would actually enhance and help his play, but that doesn't seem to be evident.
What about yourself then, Derek, on Nico? Is it being a bit too harsh, or do you want to see more?
I like him, but he's been off the boil, let's be honest. I actually was tempted. If I was Danny Rule, I'd have started Diamandi and Chikwani yesterday. I thought Chikwani was good when he came on. I can understand why Deal was removed at half-time. I think it was an absolute guarantee he would be booked at some point. I didn't have less than 2 minutes that he would get his first yellow. By all accounts, a deserved one. You can't be getting yellow carded 2 minutes into a game. But look at Tello Asgard at Parkhead in the New Year game, gets booked after 5 minutes, and that sort of nullifies him. So you're asking your players just to be just use the head a little bit more there. But I thought Chikwani was excellent when he came on. I think he'll be a real good addition to that Rangers midfield. But Raskin, his passing has been wayward. He's always what I noticed yesterday is he's trying to do too much. He's just goes deep, trying to collect the ball, and tries to do two jobs at once, if you like, running about all over the place. I don't know what the solution is with Nico Raskin. Of course, he's got, I think, a couple of years left on his deal. You'd imagine he gets called up to the Belgian World Cup squad. The ideal scenario is he goes over there, does really well, and then clubs are queuing up with big money offers to prize him away. I think if a big money bid comes in the summer, I would be looking to offload. As much as I like him, he's a great player on his day. He's just not producing well enough for me in this Rangers midfield. And then you've got Connor Barron coming back. I think Danny Rowe's got a decision to make when he returns. I know he's back in training, of course, so that's a decision for this coming Sunday. But the midfield's a concern for me. I think, of course, some of the debate in the January transfer window was, do Rangers need a number 6 in there? Again, hark back to last weekend when Rangers lost a goal to Kieran Tierney nods one in and reduces the deficit. You needed someone. The midfield was non-existent in that second half. You needed someone, an old head, just to calm everyone down, just to make a few passes in the midfield area, and then get going again. So that is obviously an area that Rangers were looking to strengthen in January, but they failed to bring in a number 6, if you like. So I'd imagine they'll be doing that in the summertime. But Nico is a frustrating one, that's for sure, because we all know there's a talent there, but we're just not seeing it at the moment.
Yeah, no, definitely. As I say, that we're just looking here at different comments. A lot of people's talking about Romans and stuff. I think he's been a really good signing, and I honestly do. Like, I know it's hard to say this now without everyone in the comments going, "Here we go," but I really do think that Rangers next season will be fine. I think we're going to have a good season next season, but as you know, because if you look at the likes of Romans, I think he's a cracking player. Chukwani, I think, is a good player as well. So most of the players that we've brought in have sort of done good for us. Unfortunately, now Olsen, that just doesn't seem to be happening. But you never know. Maybe a miracle will happen. Hopefully, in these last 9 games, and he'll just turn it on and be absolutely fantastic and lift the title with us. That'll be amazing. But it doesn't look likely, as Derek has alluded to earlier. I don't trust us to win 9 games in a row. So I think there is positive signs for the future, definitely. But it doesn't really help us now, as we're sitting here still deflated and annoyed and a bit peed off with the team as usual. So, Marcus, I'll get your thoughts on Big John Suter. So, obviously, we've given John Suter another contract, and the big man was taken out and Jiga was put in. I thought Jiga was absolutely fantastic yesterday. I thought he played very well. The defence in the main was very good yesterday. That wasn't where our issues were. But Big John came on, obviously, for the last 15 minutes, I think, in the round, and he had a bit of a nightmare, didn't he? It looked as if all confidence was gone from the big man.
Yeah, just before I answer that, can I quickly refer to Romans, please? I think he would be a brilliant Rangers captain next year. I think he leads. He's hard, quite a silent assassin, I call him. He doesn't stand for any crap, both on the field and afterwards. And that's the kind of mentality we want. And I think he can really lead. We need people like that to follow. So I've admired him as a footballer, but I've also admired him that he's got a little streak to him, which I think is fantastic. Going back to your question, I was actually quite pleased that John Suter was signed, but very much as a squad player. And I thought that Sterling should have moved into central defence with Tavernier. That was the only sort of difference that I would have looked at for the starting team. But as you've referred to, Jijiga, I thought was fantastic. So I think Suter will be very much a fringe squad player next year. And I must admit, I was pretty nervous when he came onto the field, because there were a couple of occasions again that he seemed to refer to type, as he has the last 3 or 4 games, not particularly solid as defence. So I think with the signings, hopefully, not necessarily this season, but next season, I can see him sort of not playing as much. So hopefully we can plug the gap.
What's your thoughts then, Derek, on Suter? Because we're sitting there get Scotsman in the team, and now I'm quickly going to not John Suter though.
To be honest, he was a bomb scare when he came on yesterday, wasn't he? There was a moment when he played a really slack back pass, and Jack Butland had to sprint out and clear it away. He just looked a bag of nerves, didn't he? I can understand why Jiga was replaced, given he's not played much. So it must have been a fitness issue. But he and Fernandez, I thought, were magnificent at the back, so calm under pressure. Don't get me wrong, it was hear him, scare him at times. You're thinking, Jesus, and they're holding on to the ball, but they've got a good physicality, the pair of them, a good understanding, and I very much hope that that's it, the centre-back pairing between now and the end of the season, barring, touch wood, that none of them get any injuries. But yes, Suter, as Marcus says, probably a decent squad option, but at this point, he's like a number of players, just not playing well enough. I can understand why he was given a new deal. He cannot be the number 1 centre-half at Rangers next season. I think going into next season, I would not be surprised if there are a queue of clubs looking to sign Emmanuel Fernandez. I think Rangers will make a bit of money on him. Nasser Jiga obviously goes back to Wolves. Who else you got? Derek Cornelius will go back to Marseille. So you're probably looking at it going, we need 3 centre-backs here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at this comment because every time the ball bounced, I thought, what's Suter going to do next? And I remember shouting at his
all the time,
don't let that ball bounce! Don't let that ball bounce! Because then he starts to panic, doesn't he? During the when he just seems to lose the head, and he's like, and then he goes in. The brain just goes to what do I do, and then nothing happens, and he just watches it to see where it's going to go, and then he has to make a silly foul somewhere if someone's on him by that stage. A bit like the Levy game and stuff, and you're going, for goodness sake, it's.
Yeah.
But definitely for next season, you can't have him, Derek. In my opinion, mate, as a Rangers. Yes, okay, if he's got the contract and there's certain games he can come on, I understand that, but he cannot be playing 50 games for Rangers next season.
Nah, he's not good enough, unfortunately. Decent player. He showed at times that people see as a good siege defender. But at this point in time, he's not one of the first choice centre backs. I certainly wouldn't be having him as my captain either. Said about last week. I don't think he's a natural captain. So yeah, it's a big call for Rangers in the summer. Not just centre halves. You look at the full back positions as well. Romans, you're quite right in saying I think he's going to be a real good find. McGoma's obviously going back. Tav's contract is up. I'm leaning more towards just allowing him to leave now as opposed to giving him a new deal. Dujon Sterling, who I thought, as I touched on, was excellent, but we all know he's prone to injury, so you're probably going to need a right back and a left back as well, maybe two right backs. So the defence, I think, will look completely different this time next season. Well, August.
Yeah, no, it definitely will. It needs to, anyway. For me, if we want to, because we can't keep doing what we're doing here, self-destructing ourselves. There's definitely an issue marker somewhere inside Ibrox. It can't be, it seems to be rinse and repeat, doesn't it? Every season, it's right. We need to get rid of that manager, useless. Get the next one in. Starts really well. Starts to fall apart once the pressure gets on, or we get ourselves into some sort of momentum. And then it's, rinse and repeat sort of. And I don't think that Danny Röder, the quest Danny Röder, that's not going to be, he'll be there next season, and hopefully with better players and more experienced players, hopefully as well, we'll have a great season next season, which I do think we can. But it just seems to be that there's just an issue inside Rangers altogether. I mean, I don't know if it's a curse or what the hell it is, but it's hard going, isn't it, being a Rangers fan at the minute? Well, it has been for so long, hasn't it? We've just been so many setbacks, and here we are again.
Yeah, I think this season, I don't want to keep on harping on about Martin Thelwell and Stewart, but the overspill and the composition of the squad is still there. We managed to offload 7 players, as we've already discussed. That Curtis probably wasn't a good choice, and got 4 in. So the squad's changed to a degree, but there's still key areas that are flawed by it. And I think we've done pretty well to improve. But on the other hand, the form has been, I think we've more or less reached the ceiling with the squad, in my opinion. And I think it's an overspill of the poor recruitment, and it needs to be rectified as quickly as possible. Can't really do a lot this season, but certainly next summer. And hopefully we can start really early and then start rebuilding the squad.
And Derek, what about yourself on, we're talking about we need players in, but Rangers, they're really, I know we've chatted about it briefly during the show, but it's definitely experience we need, isn't it? It's something that we're sorely lacking. So that game, as you said, when we were 2-0 up against Celtic, and then we just self-imploded the whole second half. You need a Stephen Davis or just someone who can go, right, calm it down, give me the ball. I'll conduct the play. I'll not give it I'll not smash it out to absolutely nobody and for a free or throw in, panicking, all these things. We just need calm heads, don't we, in certain positions?
Yeah, I think it's important. Yeah, a bit of experience in there. A number of experienced players that have left. I think Leon Balogun was big, not just on the park, but in the dressing room last season. And a number of others have left. I mean, Scott Arfield, I don't think has been replaced properly. He's another one. Stephen Davis, like you touched on there. I think in the summer as well, you want to keep the squad age down to an extent, but I think there's always room for a few older heads in there. So it will be interesting to see if Rangers look to bring in guys like that, as we touched on. I mean, Tav, I can see going. He's one of the elder statesmen. Jack Butland, of course, is someone that's his best years are probably behind him, but you're looking elsewhere in that squad, and you're struggling to see who the experienced campaigners are. So I think that is certainly lacking in this Rangers team, as Marcus touched on there. But there's nothing we can do about it now. But in the summer, I would like to see that addressed, certainly.
And the William, problem is that I always say, no, just saying, Marcus, just quickly, sorry, Derek, basically, no, it's all right. I was just going to say the problem for us, we do have some experience in that team. But for me, the argument could be it's actually a lot of bad experience, if you know what I mean, because they've been through so much. You know what I mean? So it's not as if it's experience of winning finals or or going deep into the cup finals, or you know what I mean, or whatever, and winning things. You know, it's in the main, it's not been great, has it? But sorry, Marcus, go ahead, buddy.
I was just saying, I like the profile of the players we're bringing in, young, athletically, really big. I think it's only Raskin and more under 6 foot. So I actually quite like that on the basis that hopefully the players will improve. Rangers will get better, and at worst, if they're sold on, we can reinvest. So I think that's a really good thing. But I think certainly for next summer, we've got to deviate a little bit from that and get experience. I remember thinking last summer, and the ship sailed now, but there were murmurings about Connor Cody, if you remember. Do you remember that, a centre-back? Now, he might not be a superstar, but I remember thinking, do you know what? He doesn't stand for any crap. He's a good organiser, and that's the type of person. Again, it might be completely away from the profile of players we've got, but that kind of person, and it doesn't have to be English or British or whatever, but as you say, when we get a Scotsman in, the profile of the team will be even better. But failing that, I think that we do need the profile of a couple of players like that, probably central defence, certainly in midfield as well. And I think that will help and supplement the new players coming in.
We've got a league fixture coming up here, Derek, so just before we finish, and again, as we know, it's not going to be easy, and especially after the result, you're going to get the players are going to have to get themselves up. I know Danny Rule has promised us that the players have promised themselves that they're going to do a little bit better for us, hopefully. Yeah. It's a pity they weren't doing that before they hadn't promised themselves 2 games ago, mate, unfortunately. But they promised themselves now, so that maybe they will do the business. We'll wait and see, mate. But that's not going to be an easy game for us, this next one coming up.
No, exactly. Especially, I mean, the form, 4 draws for the last 6. Away form has been really poor. St Mirren will be buoyed after reaching the semi-final of the Scottish Cup. We've dropped points there already in the season. We touched on Finlay Curtis, of course. He's the one that got us a point over there earlier in the season. So I expect another sort of roll the sleeves up job. Am I confident about Rangers going there and winning? No. I think I would be surprised, actually, if Rangers go there and do the business and there isn't some sort of adversity that they need to try and overcome. So I think the first goal is huge. An early goal would be ideal. But yeah, I just worry if Rangers drop points in this game that you can see it now. The discontent was just going to grow and grow. I think it's must win this. You can't afford to drop any more points for me. I know John Stewart said that last week. I know you were saying they need to be clean. Which basically means win every game. So starting on Sunday, but it's not going to be easy by any matter of means. Albeit Motherwell went in there recently, won by 5, didn't they? Which sort of harks back to what you were saying. It's certainly been the best footballing team this season. And Rangers need to watch because Motherwell, I know they get beat at the weekend at Dundee, but if you're not careful, you can end up 4th this season, which would be a disaster.
I tell you, I watched that Motherwell, the Motherwell game. That's nice. I say this a few times in the show. I'm one of these sad people that likes actually watching Scottish football. So I actually watch the other games. When I can't watch them all at the same time. But if St Mirren, if Motherwell's playing away to St Mirren, you better believe I'm watching it. If Rangers aren't playing, obviously, and they were absolutely. But Derek, I was sitting there going, why can't we do this? Why can't we just go to St Mirren and beat them like that, and just handsomely and playing well, nice football? As you say, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be tough. Goggins is going to bully us probably all over the place like he normally does. And if we get over the line, it'll just be it'll be, as you say, a late winner or biting your nails for the last 15, 20 minutes. It's the same old nonsense over and over, isn't it?
Yep, it absolutely is. So I would like Rangers to prove me wrong and just go out there, win 3-0 and everyone's enjoying themselves. But who knows what we can expect over there, because you don't know what Rangers you're going to get, especially recently. Like I said, they get themselves into a good position, get that result against Hearts, and then the following week get Livingston. They just 2-0 down, and then claw back to 2 each. We all know what happens with the Mikey Moore incident, of course, but you should be relying on contentious decisions like that to win football matches. And I just worry that they don't get the points on Sunday, and then they fall further behind, and then you're looking over your shoulder, of course, like I touched on there at Motherwell, who are at Celtic Park, of course. So on Saturday, I can certainly see them picking up points over there. Would not surprise me in the slightest if they were to go over there and draw or win against Celtic. But as we've seen many times before, when Celtic drop points, and then the onus is on Rangers to close the gap, they often come up short, don't they? So I still think there's going to be some twists and turns between now and the end of the season, but I think Rangers have, they don't have any lives left. They don't have any more wiggle room left at this point in time. So roll on Sunday, but I'm not going to lie, I have the fear.
Yeah, no, same here. Marcus, what's your thoughts on that one there, mate? Because we know Stevie Robinson, know what he's like, especially against us. We've played against him quite a number of times, especially away from home, when we're away playing any of his teams, whether it's been when he's Motherwell manager or now St Mirren manager. It's always a tough game, and he sort of knows how to set his stall up against ourselves, so it's not going to be easy.
No, he's a very good manager, very resilient teams to play against, without any question. And I just hope that we can break the mould. Our away form recently has been pretty poor, and maybe there should be a cause for the fact we've just got nothing to lose now. And I just hope that we do go on the front foot and play with confidence. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but I don't think we can go with a cautious approach at all. We've got to win this game. We've obviously got 4 just before the split, absolutely crucial. And I'm not overtly optimistic about Sunday, to be honest, purely because of our away form. But I just hope that we can break the mould and play with a degree of confidence. Because if we don't, as Derek and yourself, William, have alluded to both externally with the supporters who've got every right to be frustrated, and then the players lacking confidence themselves, if you're not careful, the remaining games can be really underwhelming, and we can't afford to do that.
Drawn the last 3 away, haven't we? Hibs, Motherwell, and Livingston. Rubbish.
Yeah. And this is where I'm saying the fans get a lot of the fans. I've seen some fans on, like, even on our page and all, and going, see, it's the fans at Ibrox, and they're too hard on the team and all this. And I'm sitting going, look, there was a tiny crowd away that we only got in, obviously, away to Hibs and stuff, all these away grounds. And they're playing poorly there. They were terrible in that Hibs match. We were very poor in the Livingston game for most of it. You know what I mean? So, it's already blaming the fans, but the fans, Derek, feed off. You've been I don't know how many football grounds you've been to, thousands, probably, loads. But mate, it's the fans feed off what the players are doing on the pitch.
Yeah, so it's a heavy jersey to wear at times, but you can't expect the fans not to be disgruntled if what they're seeing on the pitch isn't up to scratch. So it's a two-way street. They need to give the fans something to cheer about. If they do that, then they can be a right useful force to be reckoned with. But they'll play their part at Paisley. The away fans are generally really, really good, but often the team comes up short. So like I said, I think an early goal would help matters a great deal. Like Marcus says, I would like Rangers to go for the jugular from the off. Be aggressive. Don't take too many touches. Try and play a little intricate balls into feet, and take our chances as well, because that's another thing that's cost Rangers this season for me, is they have been not creating enough, and when chances have come their way, a la Fir Park when Chermiti's through in goal, other opportunities, they seem to pass them up. So that is why I know Chermiti, as much as how many goals did he score? I know he's turned up generally in the big games, although he'd ever
8, isn't it? Right. I think it's like 8, isn't it? Something
8,
like that.
Yeah.
It's
I think it's 8.
Yeah, it's games against Livingston, Motherwell, Dundee's, your St Mirren's. You need him to score the goals, aren't you? And he's just not done that. So the forward line is been poor. I know Miovski never got on the last couple of games, but I think he's still there. He's still got more goals than Chermiti, hasn't he? Nadiri, incidentally, I know we've not really touched on him, but I thought he worked hard yesterday. Again, you know what you're going to get with Nadiri. I think he'll be a good signing in the main, but yeah, just not creating enough at this point in time, which is why Rangers are where they are.
Yeah, I've got maybe a good sign, William. I think I'm right in saying I think I'm right in saying the only goal Chamiti has scored other than the Hearts and Celtic is St Mirren, so maybe that will continue.
Kilmarnock when the goalie threw one in.
Oh, was it? Maybe I'm wrong. Oh no, Fernandes. I beg your pardon, Derek. I think you're right. I think it was Fernandes scored against St Mirren. I think I'm getting my wires crossed. Well, I'll exonerate myself by saying hopefully he can open his account against St Mirren.
I think it was the Kilmarnock game at Ibrox, and then he gave this to the fans. I think, and I'm sitting going, "How long, mate? You scored against Kilmarnock, and the keeper threw it in. Calm yourself down, big man."
Yeah.
but
you're
listen,
right.
Derek,
I stand corrected.
Poor Derek has been hasn't got the. He needs his rest. This man's been all over the place the last 24 hours.
Paella waiting for me, believe it or not. So I'm just going to stuff my face with that after this. But it's been great being back on, William. Thank you for the invite.
You're very welcome, mate. As I say, everyone, as you've seen the comments anyway, mate. Anytime you're on, everyone loves seeing you, and there's no point even saying from the Rangers review, because every single person watching this knows the Rangers review. You're that massive, Derek, but it's a fantastic show you guys put on.
No, thank you. It's good fun. Even win, lose or draw. There's been too many defeats, unfortunately, to mention. There was another post-mortem this morning. So since we've launched it, we had the run to Seville the first year, but we've not had a league win yet. We've had the league cup win. Did we have that? Yeah, the win against Aberdeen, of course. But I would like to be reporting on more Rangers victories than what we've had. We've been through a barren spell, haven't we? So hopefully things can start looking up. But it's been pretty miserable. But it's always good fun being on. So thank you.
You're welcome. You've had one League Cup more than one more trophy than me and Baz. We've had nothing since we've started this. Unfortunately for us. We were just after that League Cup with Clement and all, but I think we were a wee bit after that there when we came on. We started doing this, unfortunately for us, but it'll happen someday. Hopefully in a few weeks' time.
Exactly. Hopefully we end up with the league trophy at the end of the season. We're all eating humble pie come the end of it, but that would be a turn up for the books. But it's hard being a Rangers fan at the moment, isn't it? But hopefully the tide will turn at some point soon.
Has to eventually. It's just how long is it going to be? That's the problem. The tide it will change.
I know.
How long is it going to take? But Marcus, hope you enjoyed yourself, mate. As I say, great guest, Derek, isn't he?
Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to Derek. As I say, I enjoy watching and reading Rangers reviews, so it's great to have Derek on, and enjoyed working again with yourself, William. And it's been a good show. I've enjoyed it.
No worries. And just a quick one for Baz. You've been on here commenting the whole time. You should have been here. You should have been here having to do this, talk about this match. If I had to do it, you should have been doing it too, mate. I had to take he's on grandfather duties, you see.
Right, okay.
So so we'll let him off. We'll let him off with that one. So, but thanks everyone. As I say, we'll try and get another show up this week, and I'll post up stuff and like give you a heads up on that. And hopefully when we're doing our Monday show again, they were a bit happier, and we've got a win. But as I say, as the guys have said, we're not really confident. But it's up to Rangers, it's up to Danny Rowell and his players so we're not on here talking about mentality. It's up to them to do the business. That's the whole thing, and that's why we're sort of downbeat today, is because the players let us down, unfortunately, and themselves down. The missed opportunity, especially these last couple of weeks. But it's the Rangers way, unfortunately, but hopefully it'll change sometime soon for us all. Thank you everyone for listening and joining in and commenting and stuff. We really appreciate it. And as I say, a massive thank you to Derek Clark for joining us. We really appreciate that. Class act as always. And I'll be watching you tomorrow on the Rangers review. I can't wait.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks. Bye.